4, 3.
Hey, welcome back to Insomniac Live. This is your show where developers from Insomniac come and play video games, and we talk about it, answer your questions on Twitch. Today we're playing a Insomniac game, Song of the Deep, which we released. Is that last summer? It was last summer. Last year was crazy.
Yeah.
Last year was crazy. Like, we shipped 5 video games last year, 3 in VR, Song of the Deep, Ratchet and Clank. It feels like it feels like it was more than a year.
It does feel like more than a year.
It is. It's a year and a quarter, but it feels more. It feels more than like 15 months. It feels several years ago. So joining me today, my name is James Stevenson. I'm the community director at Insomniac Games. Joining me on the couch, we have Brian Hastings, our chief creative officer and the creative director on Song of the Deep, and Donald Barrett, right?
Yep.
I got it right. I was like, I think this is how to pronounce the last name. I want to be sure. Who's one of our testers here?
Production support.
Production support, even better. See, I normally ask these questions prior, and I didn't today, and it bites me in the ass. So we're our production support technicians, and we're going to start the game right off the bat. This game came out on Steam. This is one of the first Insomniac games. Oh, you can play intermediate, right?
You sure? Advanced?
Not advanced. No, we're going to die a lot.
What's the difference?
Die a lot advanced.
Well, yeah, more damage, less damage. So we shipped this game as on Xbox One, PS4, Steam. It came out with Game Trust, who is a publisher owned by GameStop. And it was released physically and digitally, and there was all sorts of cool toys. There was like a Funko Pop for this game.
We had our first Funko. I think it was our first one.
We've never had. There's never been like a Ratchet and Clank.
And
Funko
she was in
Pop.
the submarine.
Yeah, is she in here? Yeah, she's over there. She's up behind Donald's head. Actually, I don't know. It may be hard for people to see at home, but we have. I think I put as much Song of the Deep swag as I had in here. So why? A lot of people always ask, like, it's this Metroidvania 2D Unity game. Why? Yeah. What were you like? You're the creative director. I know you had a lot of inspiration for the story of this game.
It was kind of it was a weird nexus of. We had 3 different people who pitched submarine games like at the same time, and I think I've been the first ones ever. Like we'd gone over 20 years with no one ever wanted to do this, and then suddenly it's like we had 3 completely different.
I know that move. I know that move.
Versions of and one was like kind of more realistic, like a sim feel, and one was more kind of sort of a cool take on like an FTL, and one was more adventuring in the deep. And we ended up kind of going with something that wasn't quite any of them, but was sort of inspired by the idea of like I think they all like went into it.
Right.
So yeah, and we just
you had this whole kind of storybook idea. I know you had gone on vacation to Ireland.
Yeah. Cliffs of Moher. It's amazing. We were there in a storm. It was like pouring down rain. Winds that felt like they were gonna like put you over. It's like this 1,000-foot drop, and you're just looking over it, and you just had this kind of beautiful loneliness. Right? That look just stuck with me. And so I think when Mary's standing looking out over the cliffs looking for her dad, and that's where that idea was coming from. But yeah, I'd been kind of wanting to make a story for my daughter for a while, and so that kind of went into it too. Like one of the sketches we had for the submarine was little, and and I was thinking, okay, like who would go into that? And I was thinking, well, maybe it's someone young, maybe it's a kid.
Mm-hmm. So, and you actually got to write we'll come to that later. I think Beautiful Loneliness was an interesting comment you made, because I think there's a lot. When you play this game, Beautiful Loneliness could sum up a lot of the game itself. Like, you're in a submarine, which is if you've ever been underwater, or like scuba diving, I think it gives you some of that idea. It's very isolating when you're alone underwater, and so Marin is this girl who's chasing after her father and is alone underwater in this like beautiful, beautiful environment with beautiful music, and it's like this calming. It's sort of this like calming place and game and feel, but at the same time, it's very desolate in some ways too, and like desolate. There's life everywhere, but you feel alone. You're completely kind of on your own, searching.
It's something we always try to do. The idea of unlikely heroes exploring fantastic worlds. That's kind of been a common theme in a lot of our games. And yeah, this is one where I think because she's young and because she's vulnerable and she's because she's looking for her father, it was important that she doesn't really have help, and so like she never really gets assistance throughout it. She's kind of all on her own the entire time, and capturing that feeling. What's it like to be lost and on your own and like in these deadly situations? It was a big part of it, and so we tried to capture that with the music. I mean, like you said, Jonathan Wandag does an amazing job with all the music, really capturing the feel in each different place.
Yeah, I honestly, I mean, and, you know, we've had a lot of great soundtracks, but this is maybe my favorite Insomniac game soundtrack.
Definitely, it has a mood.
It's very, like, I don't know. I think Jonathan loves a lot of the same games I do. Like in terms of, like, I hear lots of Final Fantasy VI in the soundtrack. I don't know. There's just so many. You don't have your robot arm yet. You can't.
No.
You can't grab it.
So if I can survive this next part.
You got a save point. You're good.
Okay.
So there's like some level. If you listen to it, the soundtrack's killer in this game. I absolutely love it. I think it's, you know, if it's certainly underappreciated. Like, it should be talked about when people talk about game soundtracks. In my opinion, it's just so good. Next snap, we were talking about how Tony Mora did some of the a lot of the 2D art on those opening cutscenes, and Tony did a bunch of the stuff. If you like played Ratchet and Clank, Tony did like the weapon intro videos that you see in like A Crack in Time. He didn't even work at Insomniac. He was outside contractor on those, and then he actually did work at Insomniac for a while and did a lot of 2D art for various games and did a ton of the art for this game.
I love those weapon intros.
Yeah,
I feel like that was such a core part of the personality in that game.
Donald, you've never played Song of the Deep.
I have not.
So you're coming in here as the outside perspective on this game.
Yes, and I have done a bit of due diligence. I kind of looked up some gameplay videos and was seeing a lot of the introductory stuff and listening to the music too. What you guys are saying about the soundtrack, I completely agree. It's mysterious, it's wondrous, and I've been very curious about how the story plays out. I only know the beginning parts. I know the basic concept that Mara's looking for her father. So and you kind of already delved a lot of the reasoning, into the reasoning of this loneliness. Creating a game for your daughter, that's something that's really awesome. That Insomniac's mostly known for shooters and platformers. So this is definitely
Nope. Watch out for those bombs.
I was a major fan of Insomniac even before getting a job here. I was very curious as to why Song of the Deep, when it came out, and even Unity. I was dabbling in Unity before this, and so I could see a lot of the inner workings. And so
I think in terms of tone, this feels a lot like Spyro to me. Like even the making of it, the size and the feel, just kind of that sense of exploration you get.
Which is interesting. Like, there's very much been a. Spyro definitely had more of kind of that Mario 64 gate mechanism, right?
Yeah.
Where you have to explore to collect, right? And then that unlocks things. But Ratchet kind of had moved into this Metroid world of like you need gadgets and you go backtrack, and this gadget or this weapon lets you get in somewhere. So, and knowing how much you guys love, I know Ted loves Super Metroid. Plug, we're playing Super Metroid on Friday with Ted, so you definitely want to tune in for that. How much of that, like, kind of Metroid, like, I know, we never really had a chance to kind of make a pure Metroid game. There's a little bit of it in Ratchet, but that Metroidvania is something you hear a lot of people here talk about loving. So how early was that something that jumped in for you? Like, we want this game to feel like that. When did you kind of land on Metroidvania, I guess?
I think it was fairly early on. It was because I wanted to have a sense of exploration, right? Like, because at first we were talking about, well, it's all about going deeper and deeper, but there wasn't really. I guess when you're only going deeper, there isn't that sense of like exploring a place of being able to create these different worlds, and so I wanted to have something. I guess more restrictions and gates and the kinds of things that would give you the opportunity to explore and like say right here, like when you're a little bit more closed in, but without being so like without feeling claustrophobic, you have the sense that you're in a place and you have you know, you want to like explore every nook and cranny. Like, how do you unlock the next? Oh, I forgot about that wave.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I noticed the jellyfish are kind of trollish. They like to zap you and then sort of back away.
Yeah.
When you think you're safe.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I was
okay.
very curious in terms of secrets and hidden alcoves and stuff. Is there a lot of that in this game, and like hidden collectibles? And
for a lot of people, that's the most fun thing. Is
Yeah.
just finding all the secrets. The team did an amazing job just creating. We call it surprise and delight. All the different ways you can interact with things.
That's cool.
And unlock.
Well, even just stuff like there's like these giant clams. If you feed them the right thing, they give you like a pearl or give you a special item, or like even just I know it's silly, but like the eels just like going away when you pop up. I love the trader.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I need 25 more.
Yep, gotta get some more. Gotta go search, and I know it's super rewarding when like you can go buy. When you're searching for stuff and you find things, and then you can buy new stuff from the trader. Oh, I see something that looks like it's gonna be useful over there.
Oh yeah.
That looks like it's a useful item.
No.
Yeah, it's there's this point in this game too where early on when you don't have torpedoes or anything, and you still kind of have to actually fight everything off.
Even the upgraded clock.
Yeah,
Use that right now.
Yeah, just a little like and your attack's super weak and. Sonic Destroyer said the style looks so different compared to most games coming out today. Hats off to you guys for doing that. Yeah, I mean, like we were talking before, we used Unity for this game, which was definitely like knowing we were going 2D and side-scrolling, essentially side-scrolling. That's a big difference from what we've been making. Working on Ratchet and working on these VR games. So engine-wise, it didn't really make sense to try to make our engine work. Like, our engine's flexible enough that if we spend time on it, we can make it do anything. But given the amount of time we had to make this game and the budget we had, it was definitely more of a decision to go with something that was a little more off-the-shelf ready for Song of the Deep.
I think the art really owes. I mean, the whole look comes from Sing Ji. She has an incredible, just kind of a dreamlike feel to her designs. Like, I mean, for anyone who played Outernauts on Facebook, you remember it has a really unique look. Even for an isometric game, it had a really unique feel. And so, just all the layers she put into the backgrounds and to the all the detail in each part of the world, it really brings it to life and makes them unique places with their own secrets. No.
I'm actually impressed that you can pull this one off. I was like, are you sure you don't need like the speed boost or something?
I keep on getting cocky and thinking I don't need to worry about the timing.
Yeah, the timing's pretty precise there. It's pretty tight.
Yeah, they don't give you much.
But I mean that's what makes it feel pretty good if you do. So next up, was this the same team that did work on Outernauts?
Yeah, for the most part. We had a couple people join us after Outernauts, but yeah, I mean, I'd say the bulk of the team carried over.
Delarum, thanks for the follow. If you're just joining us, this is Insomniac Live. We're playing Song of the Deep, which was a game we released on
Cool.
PS4, Xbox One, and PC on Steam last July. And I'm here with Brian Hastings, who's the Chief Creative Officer at Insomniac and the creative director of this game, and Donald Barrett, who is one of our production support technicians. And Brian, you've been here. You're employee number 3.
I am, yeah, that's right.
So you've been making video games with Ted and Al for nearly 2.5 decades?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What? I don't know. Just tell me about that in general. Like, what's that been like? Obviously, the company's completely different. We're talking about the amount of people, the scale of the projects based on you guys versus you guys,
Right.
sitting on a couch making Disruptor, but
We didn't actually technically sit on the couch most of the time.
most of the time, okay, sleeping on the couch
That's true.
between making a Disruptor. How's
That part is true.
like, so like, talk about that. What's this kind of journey been like for you?
It's been. I think when I started out, I think my parents didn't really want me doing this because it was like super high risk. I had a job already. It's like don't.
Already one of our sons is trying it, not you too.
And I think they were kind of expecting I was going to go to medical school because I come from a long line of oldest sons who are all doctors. I think that was sort of what my dad was dreaming of for me to do. So it was sort of like, okay, well, I'll do this for a couple of years, and then I'll go like get a real job. And I don't know. It's just I think even after Disruptor, I was still thinking, well, maybe I'll get a real job eventually. But when we started working on Spiral, I think that's kind of when I knew this is what I wanted to do for real. But I mean, it's not even from the beginning. It was always working on Disruptor was an amazing experience. Like hard. Like I think we.
Yeah, he doesn't like that.
I think we didn't even take Christmas off those 2 years.
Really? So
yeah,
you just worked like straight through
we
the
were-
holiday.
we
You didn't
just
go
worked-
home for Christmas.
It was
just,
like it was like 100-hour weeks and just constant fear of like we're not gonna succeed because every day there's like something we don't know how to solve and like those unexpected risks where like, okay, the whole project will fail if we don't solve this. That kind of stuff. I just felt like it was sort of a daily battle to survive back then. But at the same time, it was fun. Just every time you saw something new go in, you're like, wow, that's amazing. Just having like our first level. It wasn't even a good level, but like when our first like throwaway level didn't make it into the game, it was just like when it actually felt like a game that you could play and you could die and you could win, and that was such an amazing experience. It's like we made this. We made a game.
Yeah, and you were programming back then, right?
Yeah.
So you programmed. I mean, you programmed all the way into the Ratchet games.
Yeah. Through I guess Ratchet and Clank 3 was my. I mean, except for like Outernauts. That was.
What did you do when you were back to programming?
I was back to programming on Outernauts. But yeah, I've kind of gradually shifted more onto the. I guess I'm sort of like an executive producer now. I'm really far removed from the production side of it. Occasionally I'll get to write a little bit.
Well, you even got to write a book.
Yeah, that was.
So like you got to write a novel for this game, which was published, and you went to like Barnes and Nobles on book tour.
I do. I get invited to schools now, and it's really fun because I'll talk about the games we made in my journey, like at Insomniac, and what it was like, and the themes of our games. And the kids are super into it, and it makes me really happy just to see kids connecting to it and connecting to the story, and like so many of them have, because I mean these kids are usually like 4th grade, 5th grade, and a lot of them have heard of Insomniac and played our game, so it's kind of it's kind of exciting just seeing them get excited about it.
So I think we're lost now. So hit
Yeah,
the map.
we're struggling
Hit the touchpad for the map, and then there you go. That X
Oh.
X marks the spot.
That helps.
Indiana Jones style.
I think you gotta boost jet through this. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so we just got the boost. Yeah, so now you
And
can.
does the red light mean I'm out? At least?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's limited.
once it goes blue, you're good.
Okay.
Then you just gun it. I think you can just hold it down. Yeah. There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, now you punch through, and now you can talk to. You might be able to buy. We should be able to buy.
Are
it.
we
So
short?
Boost.
No,
No,
we're good.
no,
Yeah,
we
it's
can get
like-
the the concussive claw.
let's do that.
Yeah. All right, now we're able to.
Yikes. Okay.
Concuss some jellyfish. Can you concuss some jellyfish? Let's find out.
That's right.
Take that, science.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm like.
Yeah, you said you'd always wanted to write a book.
I did. That's what I kind of wanted. That's what I wanted to do when I graduated college. I tried to get into Hollywood and be a writer, and Hollywood wouldn't have me, and that's when I started working in medical electronics for a year before Insomniac.
So you're right. If you just want to boost and throw, I think if you boost and throw,
yeah.
it should
see.
end
Yeah,
up.
that's right.
Yeah.
Just kind of aim a little bit down. Yeah, there you go.
There you go, and
That
and
makes
then it.
sense.
Now you're stuck.
Okay.
Oh, I think it turns off. Does it?
Oh, so.
Now you're stuck. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
so I should be able to just use the boost.
I have no idea.
Yeah, you should be able to.
Perfect.
There are a couple spots where I think you can get stuck.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
We think we fixed most of them. because we had some post-launch. But there's a
Yeah.
couple spots where it gets pretty close. I even love like the giant
This is cool.
the giant jellyfish up at the front of the screen is such like a Super Nintendo
Yeah.
like 16-bit era. Like, oh, look what we can do now with a transparent
It
a
totally
giant
is.
transparency over the front of your screen. Like, it just
But
totally takes me back to
It's
that
an
era.
oldie but a goodie.
Right.
We actually had that. We had that in one of our earliest demos, like the first demo we ever did.
Right.
We had that in there, and it was never in the final game until the very end. And like I was talking to Sing, I was like, we need something for entering the Merrow ruins, and like we just kind of settled on that. That would be the perfect moment. You need that something to
You're
sell
gonna
the
need it.
transition.
You're gonna need something else to get through those
I
guys.
see.
I will tell you. Anastasia2458, thanks for the follow. Appreciate any new followers on Twitch. You can click that button to follow us and know when we go live. We broadcast 3 times a week right now with different games, new games, old games, our games.
You got these lines down.
Yeah, not bad for only doing this for a few weeks, right? And I'm sorry if you guys missed Corey as the host. I hear he was better than me. Playing some Friday the 13th.
Did someone say that? Because that's just me.
Yeah. Corey's got a thumbs down, so I don't know what that means. Who's it mean towards? You got to pick between us now. It's, yeah, I'm sorry I missed out on Friday the 13th. That sounded like a fun time. But Corey was lamenting that he didn't make fun of Crispin Glover's dance and didn't bring it up. He's like, I just have so much regret over not talking about that during the stream. And then he made me watch the YouTube video of Crispin Glover's dance in Friday the 13th, and it's pretty good, man. Crispin Glover is legit. Corey said he'd do the dance, so maybe we should make him do it today, just so I get it on camera. I don't know. Does that offer still stand, Corey?
No.
Yeah, no, he's totally not willing to do it. He said he would, but now he's chickening out. This is just like when he said he could beat Full Throttle blindfolded. He knew exactly what to do, and then he got sick that day. Yeah.
This is not.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure I could beat an energy drink blindfolded. No guarantees, but I'm pretty sure.
You could beat an energy drink? You mean
You guys talking about something else?
you were talking about the video game Full Throttle?
Dad jokes. See, I'm a dad.
That's so good. Yeah, I can beat that monster. Oh yeah, you talking about that monster at the end of the game? I can do it with an energy drink, no problem.
That's why my kids make me drop them off at parties a block away.
Do they really?
They do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Just leave us here. We'll walk the last block in. I feel like that's something you would see in an 80s movie and be like, no kid would ever do that, and then it happens. The question is, did they get the idea from an 80s movie you showed them?
They've watched the Goonies.
There it is.
I can't even get them to sit through Star Wars without
What?
watch the Goonies. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Oh, man.
The droids walking through the desert.
And you
they're
wonder
on
why
their
some
phones.
animals eat their young. Right? I mean, come on, kids. It is an interesting thing, not to go totally off topic on Star Wars, but there's certainly there's a level of fandom that the older Star Wars fans kind of hated the prequels, and I think the prequels have a little bit of a bad rap myself. I think, especially Phantom Menace, I think has a really bad rap. I think it's held up pretty well over time. But there's a lot of kids where those prequels are Star Wars to them
Right,
just
yeah.
every
That's
much
true.
as big as the new movies. Just like there are kids now who Star Wars is going to be Rey and Finn and Poe,
Right.
and the old movies they might watch a little bit, but the new movies are really where Star Wars is at. And I think that's one of the cool things that Star Wars may have really that no other kind of franchise has, and that it's 3 generations who
Yeah.
loved it for different reasons and different
Absolutely.
movies. And we see that a little bit with Ratchet and Clank now, kind of getting to a second generation of Ratchet and Clank fans, parents that have played it with their kids, and are now their kids are, maybe starting with the PS4 game or starting with different games, and so they have a completely different approach to it than people that played it, when they
Very
were
good, you're
17 on PS2. Yeah, you can use the flashlights. I love how they light up and everything. Gosh,
That's
it's so
fun. Yeah.
it's so good, so pretty. Early on, that was one of those, like I said, those jellyfish were from the earliest demos of this
Yeah,
game.
back when they weren't transparent or anything. They looked
Right.
really just like these cardboard
Ah.
comics. But yeah, even then it was kind of just going through them had this, just the fluidity of it. I think it just had this kind of eerie, scary.
I think you can break those wood walls. There you
Oh,
go.
yeah.
Yeah. But you need torpedoes to break the stone walls.
Nice ones. I see.
So Metroid-y.
Yeah.
Borrow from the best.
Corey's making fun of us, and the Tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina is canon. R5D4 purposely malfunctioned to keep 3PO and R2 together. You know, they actually did just do, I don't know if you know this, Corey, but they did just release a new short stories thing with 50 different authors doing short stories, and it basically retells A New Hope from all these different perspectives. So it starts with Gary Whitta writing about Captain Antilles
That's pretty cool.
and then goes to one of the stormtroopers who captures Leia, and then switches to one of the gunnery officers who didn't shoot the escape pod, all that jazz. And so anyway, total aside, but they are doing that again with short stories being canon and telling all this side stuff. Donald, how did you end up at Insomniac? What's your story in terms of, we've talked a lot about Brian and being here, so...
I appreciate that. I had applied...
I hit this right.
Oh, look at that.
That's not the right button.
Yeah, it started in August, actually, and started out as a tester. Applied online. Alex Carasino, actually an old tester, kind of Insomniac veteran, now at Rockstar. He was definitely a key player in me. I used him as a reference, and he really coached me through the process of how you guys do interviews, and really got me connected with a lot of people here. And so getting started was actually, I kind of took off, and Scott, Kim, and a lot of the guys in QA were, they did a great job getting me going. Before this, I was at Disney Interactive, and I thought, I could work my way up there, and eventually had to part ways, but this was sort of the next step. So a position opened up in production support, because I know there's a lot of work to do on Spider-Man. I don't mean to bring that up. We're doing Song of the Deep.
We are all working on Spider-Man.
Yeah, there's a lot of need there. So they had applications or positions to apply to, and I went for it and got it. And so I just started last week as a production support, and just been jumping in and helping out wherever departments need help.
Congrats.
So it's been fun. The way you guys, the leadership here is great. From only been being here a couple months or so, I can really tell you guys, you do things so well here. Everything's fluid. So I'm really a huge admirer of you guys. This has been sort of the dream company for me to work for. I've started with the Spyro days. I've played all the Spyros, and
Flashlight works on this.
Ratchet and Clank. Oh yeah.
Does it? I think you have to get the
triangle.
The fish.
Oh, you're right. You do have to get the fish. You're right. That's what it is. It's the fish that goes through. So, what got you into video games then? I know you were at Disney before. How did you get into video games and then decide to work in video games? What was that for you?
Kind of all started when I was, kid, 7-year-old. I was playing Spyro the Dragon, Crash Bandicoot. Those two games kind of got me started. My mom bought me a PlayStation 1, and that was over. When I was about 10 years old, I had decided, I love doing art. I'm a big, artsy guy. I wanted to build a career out of it some way, and I love video games. So I really saw myself taking those skills and applying it to the game industry. Love, there's a lot of negative rap and parents with their kids, not wanting to play video games all the time. I think for me, it was a big way for me to, escape life. And, at an earlier stage of my life, it was interesting, but now it's a really cool way to learn about stories. It's a great storytelling tool, just kind of like film is, but with video games it's interactive. I think that was the biggest appeal for me with video games is you're kind of making it happen. You're not just sitting there watching this static thing that you know what the ending's going to be. You can kind of
missed your chance.
You can kind of play it from different angles, especially games now that are choice based and have alternate endings. That's huge. But for me, just trying to work my way up and be part of bigger projects, and want to add value to the team in any way I can.
Cool.
I think there's something. I mean, I think you're right about. There's something about video game stories that are, even in their simplest form, there's something more compelling about the story when you play as the character, and you're doing it yourself. I mean, and I remember seeing that early on in the Final Fantasy ones, like Final Fantasy VII with Eris, because you played as her. Like I can't say it even at this point. Is spoiler alert. No, I'm not gonna say. But because you played her arc and what happens is much more impactful than if she'd just been an NPC.
I was gonna give you crap because it was like, really, who doesn't know what happens in Final Fantasy VII? But given that they are actually remaking it there probably are people that may end up who have never played Final Fantasy VII.
Final Fantasy VII, it's so amazing.
Yeah, it's really good. But 6 is better.
6 is a classic.
6 is better. You can get a Super Nintendo Classic and play yourself some 6.
I have a spot in my heart for 8 too. I know it gets a bad rap, but like, just the time traveling.
I actually think the story of 8 is pretty good. It's just, God, the actual battle is so bad in 8 compared. Like, the draw system was bad. I don't know. There's a lot of, like, really interesting. The thing is, it's so forward thinking, but it just, like, whiffed on it. The summons, especially, like, the summons take 2 minutes every time. Yeah. It's not actually 2 minutes, but it feels like it. There's, like, a couple things in that game that make it just so hard. It's, like, so frustrating to play it, despite how interesting the story was.
It had some good ideas.
It did, and they used a lot of those later on. Like, if you go back now, you're like, oh, like, so much of Final Fantasy, like, a lot of the great stuff came out of 8. But man, that was just tough to play after. I don't know. It's interesting how RPGs have evolved a lot in general. Like, sitting there, pressing commands into a menu seems kind of quaint now, in comparison to a lot of, like Final Fantasy 15 or 13 or, well, I guess 13, but 12, where it's like, this kind of more MMO style. Right. Not to go off on a big Final Fantasy tangent or anything.
What are you hooking onto?
It's opening the gate. At least I hope it's opening the gate.
Yes, it is. Go. Okay,
nice.
You got up. You're good. You took some serious damage, but you made it through.
But I think I made it.
Let's see. What's the next 2D game for Insomniac? Well, next Snap, we haven't announced anything. A lot of the people that worked on Song of the Deep have been working on other projects that you've seen us ship or announce. So whether that was VR stuff or working on Spider-Man. So people are always... Teams don't necessarily always stay together, or they get kind of mixed around and change between projects.
That's a lot of the fun, too. It's like you get to work on really different things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that isn't to say that we wouldn't ever make another 2D game again, but nothing announced this time. K-Tiger asks, what does production support do? Is it like being a PA in film TV? I don't know if that's right, the right analog exactly. But so tell us, without getting into details about specifically what you're doing, because we don't want to talk about Spider-Man too much, but what are kind of the things that production support does?
Sure. We actually, it is a bit of everything. We do more...
You have to play while you're talking.
Okay.
Let's make it hard.
It's really fun. There's a lot of setting up light grids for environments, facial rigging, setting up animation, like idle animations and little things that kind of make... Am I just keeping going?
You gotta get an anchor up there.
Oh.
It's really hard. Actually, it's hard without getting the jet boost. I might have to go back and buy one.
You have to... Okay. These little animals are funny.
Is there not a way to go up through the rocks on the side or something?
Yeah, there should be some anchors you can grab onto up there, a little bit to the right.
To the right side.
Yeah. Probably the better one furthest.
I might have gone the wrong way.
I think I can...
There you go. Yeah, if you go up the inside, I think. Or that's it. There.
Not sure I can reach it. Yeah, I'll just go up the inside here.
Even setting up little instances of puzzles, little side things for the main character to do.
So it seems like it's like a lot of potpourri in terms of variety. You could change very much based on what kind of help people need.
We're pretty much in communication with all the departments throughout the studio, and whatever they need help with, we kind of jump in and support them and do some of the extra tasks that they may not have time for. So,
That's obnoxious. You're like trying to hang on,
Right.
and it's like, yeah, well, you can't punch me while your arm is holding on to a. I'm just gonna come up and hit you from
Move this
behind.
guy away.
The team started with 3. Now there's 5 of us, and I think we're looking for 1 more. They wanted to double the team size to kind of make up for, getting all the content finished
Yeah.
up.
So, and as you can imagine, with like open world games, there's a lot of content to put into them.
Yeah.
And if you've watched the show regularly, you may have met some of the other folks on the team, like Alexis, and so if you go back.
She worked on Song of the Deep as well.
Yep, she also was on Song of the Deep. She's. So anyway, there's other. If you watch some of our previous episodes on Twitch or on YouTube, you can meet some of the other production support tech folks. But it's definitely an important job that will have big impacts on, and does have big impacts on the games that you play. Even though it may be a game job you haven't heard of yet. Because it's kind of a newer thing as games get bigger and bigger, I think.
There's just so many layers of polish and extra work, and there's so much that goes into getting it up to the level of quality that we expect and what we want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how big? So let's think about this, Brian. How many people worked on Disruptor?
When we finished, I think there were 5 of us.
So the 5 people made Disruptor, Insomniac's first game when you worked there. There's you, Al, Ted, and 2 more.
Well, let's see. Mark Cerny designed the level map, so
Okay.
it's sort of hard to.
Right.
It wasn't
he was
just
a
our
Universal.
team.
He was at.
And then we had audio was outside the company. So
Right.
But
Like the
yeah,
full
I mean,
motion
in
videos are
terms
created.
of our staff, I think we had a couple people come in for contract during it, so we might have peaked at 7 and we ended at 5. Yeah.
And we ended up like the Resistance and Ratchet games were in the like right around 100, 120 depending on the game
I
probably.
think Spyro we ended at 11.
So Spyro's 11.
Yeah.
It was like 40 for the first Ratchet. Like is
Sounds
that
about right.
right?
Yeah.
And then about 100. Song of the Deep was kind of a throwback then for you guys because you only had about 25 people.
I
it
think
even that?
we had 15. We started with 10, and then I think we got up to 15. I think by the time we ended, we might have been. Oh, look what you made me do!
Look what you made me do. Not to go all tay on you, but
yeah, it was a fairly small team.
yeah. So like it kind of was a little bit of a throwback. You guys were you had definitely that little family atmosphere. I'm working on this game when most of the Insomniac games, not like our VR games, have all been fairly small productions too. But even those this is probably the smallest team size. I mean, Quest for Booty was maybe in that ballpark, like 15, 20 people.
Might have been, yeah.
Yeah, I know like a lot of the mobile games and stuff were in that same small size, but for a console release, it's definitely maybe Quest for Booty was the game that was that small previously. And now, obviously, with a game like Spider-Man, when you have hundreds of people working on it,
Right.
that's a completely different,
It's a large beast.
It's a company's as large as it has ever been.
Yeah.
I think there's something like nearly 200 people here in Burbank now.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Which is crazy. And then you have all the folks out in North Carolina too. So you've been here to see that all.
Yeah, have we officially gone beyond the medium-sized company? I don't know what the
I don't know. Yeah, when we make that cutoff. Have you been? Have you gone up to the North Carolina office?
I've not. I grew up in Durham.
You gotta go.
Been out there yet? I see Chad and Sean.
Yeah, Sean's actually here.
Yeah.
I just saw Sean outside. I'm like, what are you doing here? I guess he came down after OC4, or maybe he's hanging out in LA for the weekend.
Cool.
I feel like we're always in touch. So I sort of feel like I've been there. I've never actually been to the office.
Yeah, it's a good time. I always enjoy going out to hang out in the woods in Durham. It's a lot of fun. Food's great out there.
How often do you go?
Usually it's been. I haven't gotten in the last year or two, and I need to go out there soon. I think it was around once a year or so for the first few years, and I've been slacking a little bit. I guess just last year was so busy, and Tim's out there who's on our community team full time, so he handles some of that stuff. But we definitely did some stuff for Nexus, for Into the Nexus. Like we had a big community day in North Carolina, and that was a lot of fun. And So I don't know. We'll see if we have a reason to go out there event wise, or it may just be to go out there and hang out for a few days and work out there out of that office.
That's cool.
So that we can just get some good FaceTime with everybody. I work on that with them all the time though. Like the Ratchet and Clank art book we're doing with Dark Horse. I've spent a ton of time working with Dave and Greg.
Really hard. At the second level of boost.
You made it though. You made it.
Nice.
Speaking of like throwback stuff, Brian, like the art in that art book it's awesome. Like it's pretty great. There's stuff I'd never seen before that we unearthed. Like it's pretty cool. I'm excited for people to get a chance to check that out.
That's cool.
Next Apple Outernauts ever be released without the pay stuff? Probably not.
I wish. I mean, that's something we want to do. It's just it's just a matter of timing. Like
yeah, and it's also like some of those games are so server reliant. Like there's a lot of re-engineering.
Yeah, it takes. That's the thing. Is it take a lot of work. If it was something we could do like in like a week or two, we would do it. But yeah, it's something like it's sort of like a passion project. I was just actually thinking about that last night. It's like I know a lot of people on the team really would love to put it out there.
Yeah, that was a nice throw. That was 2 for 1 there. I think that's always like the hard part when you have to re-engineer something, which can go into like this conversation as someone said, we report Ratchet resistance to PS4. Again, like if that was a really easy thing to do, it would totally be like a no-brainer. PS3 architecture, very, very, very different than, and the problem is when you're an exclusive game like we were on those platforms, we made everything very, very customized to the PS3, and that makes it even harder to go back and port it successfully. So we normally don't do ports in-house anyway. We didn't do the Ratchet and Clank HD collection. We were super happy that was made, and we were super supportive of it. And like we'll do whatever we can to help make it happen. We're usually just focused on making new stuff. So if PlayStation decided Sony wanted to port Ratchet and or Resistance from PS3 to PS4, we'd be ecstatic and would support it however we could. But it's not so simple as that it's like an easy, cheap thing to do, because those games are really, really meant to run on PS3 hardware, and so you have to change a lot to get them to run correctly. And it's a lot more work than you might assume it would be.
I've been guilty of that a lot myself. And even coming with a programming background, I'm like, yeah, this should be easy. And then like when you get into it and find out all the details, as soon as you get into it, you're like, oh wow, there's that and there's that, and it ends up being a lot more complicated.
I mean, like some of the stuff, like the cell is obviously its own thing, but like PS2 wise, like some of the stuff you guys did, I mean,
there are a lot of tricks with it.
Like
PS2.
For instance, like the Ratchet games would take and stuff that you probably weren't supposed to do either, but like the Ratchet games would take there's like memory in the controller ports for the memory cards, so you take like the second player memory card and steal that memory. The Up Your Arsenal uses a buffer overflow attack on itself to patch the game.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that was a dark secret for a long time, because no one wanted the servers to get turned off when people found out that was the case. But basically, like the game overflows, the servers hack your game and hack your PS2, overflow it, and rewrite the entire kernel. So it's like, oh, here you go. Now you have the patch version of the game by rewriting it every single time. So you download it and rewrite the whole thing.
I remember the conversations about patching, and I knew it was hacked. I didn't know it was hacked to that extent.
Yeah, it's like stuff you can't get. It's stuff you probably couldn't even do on today's consoles because they're much more secure. But that was the Wild West of online play back in the day.
Those were the days, yeah. Getting it online. I mean, we spent so much time just playing Ratchet Online in the office. So addicted to it.
So now you get to so this is the whole like there's dragging those minds around, man.
Oh, so we made that easier. I think if this is the patch version, that
it should be the patch version.
Yeah, it was brutal.
It was just very unforgiving.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
We had a few things that we've tuned since that were a little bit too unforgiving. We had some things that were too hard, and we got called out for it in the reviews.
The physics was challenging on that. If you
But
could
it's
cap
since
that.
been made. It's since been made a lot more forgiving.
I do not remember.
I mean,
this
it's still
section.
challenging, but like we've gotten other things that I think were too frustrating. Like the Red Reapers in the beginning.
Oh, the Red Reapers, and that first time we go through the Red Reapers. Oh man,
It was
it's like
brutal.
this section where it's completely dark, and then there's these things that insta kill you, and you have to like.
And they're invisible, so that.
You thought we would have learned our lesson from Resistance 2,
yeah.
but
Oh, right.
Well, you can see them with your sonar at least, but yeah, that was the chase. The chase was the thing.
yeah,
that
the chase was killer.
was brutal. I was watching my son play it, and he died 50 times trying to beat it, and like he was getting so frustrated because there was a bug in it where they would reach you from like you're here and they're here, and somehow they would
Gotcha.
latch onto you. I was like, no, it's not supposed to be like that, and
Wow.
he ended up beating it. Like it was like one of the most epic runs I've ever seen. But yeah, so that's fixed.
So, if you're just joining us, this is Insomniac Live. My name's James Stevenson. We're playing Song of the Deep, which is a game we released on PS4, Xbox One, and PC last year. I'm here with Chief Creative Officer Brian Hastings. He was the creative director of this game, and Donald Barrett, who's one of our production support technicians and has only worked at Insomniac for a few months. So he's never played this game before, and is kind of our outside voice on checking this out. Portal Player 4 says Song of the Deep would be a great Switch game.
Huh.
I agree with that, and I would say if that's lucky enough to ever happen, I promise you we will tweet a photo of it running on a Switch to announce it, because that's what you're supposed to do. That's what everyone does when they announce their Switch ports. It would be it would be a fun Switch game in terms of it would fit well on the Switch, for sure. Nobi. Wait, is that Nobi? I think it might be Noble Y, but I'm pretty sure that's Nobi. And Nobi says the Reapers are amazing, nothing more rewarding than finally getting to the end. And I'm pretty sure that's Nobi who worked on the game at Game Trust in the chat. If not, it's a remarkable coincidence. But thanks Nobi. Yeah.
If so, hi Nobi.
No, next snap. That was not us saying that it's coming to the Switch. I'm just saying it'd be really cool if it did. Just like it'd be cool if PS3 games got ported to PS4. Is this the one you just push? You just have to hit it and push it?
You gotta drag a bomb up here.
Oh, and blow it up,
this
and then the whole.
This one's a
class.
little tough,
Right.
but it's not as tough as it used to be.
Yeah,
this was almost impossible.
It is Nobi. I was right.
this was-
Okay, I was right. It is Nobi.
Hey Nobi.
What's up, dude?
Yeah, at one point this was like the hardest thing ever.
Okay.
Yeah, I died. I remember playing like the final version, but before any like patches. And I remember like there's a couple of those bomb sequences where
These?
no, where is the bomb for this one? That is maybe you have
But
to
you
roll
do have
that
to get
down.
that- you do
If
have to
you
roll that
hit
down,
that,
yeah.
it'll roll. If you hit it and roll it back and
Yeah.
forth enough, it'll come over the ridge and then roll
That
down
should
into the
unlock
thing.
the upper.
So you do have to
I
like
see.
play the physics of it a little. You slam
Yeah,
into
just
it.
slam into it. That should do it.
Okay.
Oh, well, slam into it.
Oh, that thing is kind
throwing
of
that thing in there.
in.
Yeah, you made it to try and pull that out. This will actually make it interesting. But yeah, slam into it in the bottom maybe.
Oh, yes.
There you go.
And
then
then
if
I
you
can
pull that out-
that thing.
There we go.
Yeah, get that out of
Setting
there.
myself up for failure.
Okay.
Yeah, the physics in this game actually are pretty fun. Like they add a lot. You have these like kind of physicsy based puzzles that almost one more push. There you go. Now get away from it. That should be enough.
Yeah. Yeah, barely.
That's
No, it's gonna go. It's gonna go. It's gonna
By a
go.
pixel.
I love it. I
By a
love
pixel.
it. It's like the Price is Right when you get $1 by like
Yes.
just the little spin.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And so now you can just knock it over.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's see.
Definitely say
K Tiger says I love the narration in this game so much. Gosh, what was her name? What was the name of the actress?
Siobhan Hewlett. She was amazing. Yeah.
She's actually from County Clare, Ireland,
Yeah,
which
she's-
is where
That's cool.
you were like setting the game. kind
She's
of.
from the exact same location, even the same spot in County Clare, where Merrin is from. Because that was
Wow.
Merrin's basically from a spot close to where the Cliffs of Moher are, and like I kind of built that up into the background of the story, which we never actually say out loud. But that was like her whole, the Secret Lives of Your Characters thing that I had written for her, and then we ended up casting Siobhan, and she's amazing. And we were getting into it, we were doing some lines, and she's great, and then she's asking about the character, and I tell her, and she's like, "No way, that's where I'm from." It was so weird that it was just such a coincidence. But yeah, she does such a great job with it, with the narration. She really brings it to life. And
yeah, I remember we were actually talking about when you were casting that, like if you actually wanted to cast Irish accent or not, or just cast someone kind of with a, like, didn't matter if it was Irish. And like I remember I felt really strong, like, oh, you gotta cast an Irish accent. Like it's like, well, that's where we're setting it. Like there's all these Gaelic terms and like kind of, you know, Marin's name, like all of this stuff references this Gaelic. You know, the legends of the sea of the area. If you actually look into it, it all feels like it could fit into that world really well. And I feel like like when you found her, she was the perfect choice for it.
Absolutely. And I was originally not so sure about going Irish, because the whole thing about her even being Irish is something we don't say literally in the story, and just I felt like we'd have to find someone who actually was Irish.
Right.
We don't want like we
don't want to, like, you can get someone, and like there are voice actors who do killer accents, but like, you know, when you can get the real thing, you know, there's plenty of great Irish accents too, like or Irish actresses who did it, and then to find someone who's from that exact area with that exact perfect accent, like it's really cool. You gotta watch out for those like missiles. They will wreck you. Sonic Destroyer 2, do you guys plan to make more multi-platform games? It's possible. Like, we don't plan not to make multi-platform games. We kind of, whatever the project is based on who we're partnering with, you know, will make the most sense. Obviously, you know, it depends game to game, or if we're making something with Oculus, that's going to be, you know, a VR game. If we're making something where Sony has this, you know, Sony wants to make a game we're making, it's going to be on PlayStation 4. You know, for game trust in this case, it was definitely going to be multi-platform. So it's possible. You never know. It will depend on the project. Gravy Biscuits. Will you guys please patch in trophies for Ratchet & Clank Tools of Destruction? So here's the fun story about that game. It's not possible.
Really?
So if you go back to, like, it's just not even technically possible. The game never initializes the PlayStation Network because you weren't required to. There was no, at the time that game shipped, there was no built-in patching function on PSN. Like, that did not exist at that time. Like, when we made Resistance and Tools of Destruction, we had to, like, build the whole process on how to patch the game. Like, the game patches don't come through PSN. They come inside the game when you connect to the multiplayer servers and be like, oh, download an update. It was all inside the game. We built all of that because PSN didn't do it for you back then. And when we made Tools of Destruction, it was, well, there's no online features. There's no, like, it was still in that PS2 era of, well, you ship the game and it's done. You just make sure you don't have any bugs. You're not going to patch the game a bunch. You're not going to change things. It was a completely different era of game making, and you know, the end of that era, really. Right. And so that was the game that
it's the end of skill points.
Right, there's no.
So we were doing skill points back in Spyro 2,
before trophies,
before
like
achievements, and
it was the last skill point game, and I mean, I don't even think they had trophies at that point.
No,
trophies didn't exist. No, achievements did, but trophies didn't.
No, achievements didn't exist.
I was talking about for Tools of Destruction. Tools of Destruction, they didn't have trophies on the PS. Like, trophies came in for around Quest for Booty, I think. So like that system didn't even exist. I think we knew trophies were coming at that point, but it wasn't ready, and you know, we just never really thought, oh yeah, we'll patch this single player game. No, the game's done. Everything works perfectly. We've tested it. It's fine. We wouldn't do that now because there's built-in patching systems, so you could very easily patch even a single player game that you ship. But with Tools of Destruction, it's just not actually possible to patch it. So unless someone went in and actually like made a new trophy version of the game and then re-released the game with trophies, it's not possible to patch that game for trophies, which is why we never did it.
Actually, something that came up with Song of the Deep too is like why we don't have a platinum trophy, because a lot of people were mad at us for not having a platinum trophy, but we're not. We were literally not allowed to because it was a $15 game, and I think you had to be a $20 game to have a platinum trophy.
Yeah, there's different.
Do we raise
I actually don't. It's weird. Like, there's weird rules that publishers know more about specifically. Because I don't think it's price related. I
thought it was. Maybe it's not. But
it's
I mean, that's what
it's
I heard.
like size of the game related. But then
we
like
were definitely big enough.
Yeah, there's weird rules about that. Nobi might be able to say more in the chat if he's listening. He probably knows what the specifics are. But there's like
so I tried to get to the bottom of it at one point. It's like, yeah, it'd be great to have a platinum trophy. What does it take? And
there's definitely some arbitrary decision.
There's definitely some reason why we couldn't, and like it wasn't because it is a long game. It's
like 6 or 7 hours probably. If
at least. Yeah. I mean, 100% was way longer, but
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That was always a little bit of a bummer. It would have been nice to have the platinum in there if we could have gotten it, but you may be right. There was just a price thing in the end. But I feel like there's like I know I've seen they've had to pull games now. Maybe it's changed in the last year. But I feel like they've had to pull games that didn't have it. Like were like these tiny games built. Maybe that's more on Xbox though, where they give 1,000 points to like some game that doesn't. You don't have to do anything, and you get 1,000 points in just a few minutes. Anastasia, what time do these streams last until in Eastern Standard Time? We usually go till about 3:15 Pacific, which is about 6:15 Eastern, and we always repost them on. They're in our. You can see all the old ones on our Twitch channel, and you also can go on our YouTube. We repost them after a day or so on YouTube, if you want to catch up on one you missed or and all that stuff.
Seems like there's a lot of stuff you can just kind of skip over in this, like that big crab thing. Like you don't
there's a lot of secrets. There's a lot of things that you'll be able to unlock when you get more powers when you get.
Yeah, there's a lot of areas that are like it looks like you're skipping something, but there's actually stuff you can do there when you find the power for it.
Cool.
Will I do a 24-hour Dig Dug stream? I love Dig Dug. I loved it since I was a kid.
Dug,
when it was one of the first video games I ever really played when I was like 2 years old. I could boot a DOS computer and put in a floppy disk and run Dig Dug on DOS. And
I was there in the arcade, man.
Yeah, it's good. So no, I won't do a 24-hour Dig Dug stream. That said, I think we're gonna try and do something for Extra Life where we go a lot longer. It's hard for us to do streams that are too long because people are busy with working on video game like Spider-Man. So I know you would love to see us stream all day, but you might also love for us to go make video games. But I think we're going to do something super long for Extra Life, and I think it'll be bi-coastal where, like North Carolina is going to do some of the streaming, and then we'll do some of it, and I'm going to make Corey die that day. Is what's going to happen. Corey's going to hate me. He's laughing. He's snickering back there.
This guy? I guess.
Speaking of arcade games, I saw the guy, this was in South Dakota in this tiny little arcade. It was like a hot dog shop plus an arcade. So the guy set in the Cubert world record. Like, watch, it was like 24 hours long, just playing Cubert. I was just in awe watching. I was like, no way.
I think I can appreciate the endurance of like, because like it's so easy in some of those old games to drop focus for a second.
Yeah, well, he had to the bathroom was downstairs, so he had to go take a break. He had to have someone guard, make sure that no one touched it while he ran all the way down.
Is there a spot where you can? I guess am I wrong? Can you pause in keyboard?
No, you can't. Pause in keyboard.
Because Donkey Kong, and I'm thinking of Donkey Kong and stuff. There's no how is he safe? How is he safe to go to the bathroom long enough?
No, you're not safe. You just lost a bunch of lives.
Oh, because he'd gotten so many extra lives.
Yeah,
He's just don't touch it. Okay, so he could just forfeit a bunch of lives to let himself. Nice. I like that. I'm so good at this game. I can build up enough lives that I can walk away from the machine on a really hard level so that I can go pee. Oh man.
It's formative moments.
Next stamp. Is there a secret in this game that no one has ever found?
I wonder that. I've never heard of anyone getting 100% of the treasures. I assume people have, but there's a piece of narration that plays when you get 100%. I've never heard anybody talk about it, so I've always kind of wondered. We tested it. I think it plays, and it was a cool line. I like how Siobhan delivered it.
What is the line?
I can't tell you. No, it's long.
Okay. I will say that I'm fairly confident I have seen people hit 100%. I'm also fairly confident. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I've seen people. I don't know if I've seen people talk about the line, but I'm pretty sure I've seen people get 100%. I want to say Greg Miller might have gotten 100%.
Oh, really?
But I know he's still slowly working on it because this is his calm relaxation game when he needs to
It's a Zen game.
When he's upset about another Missouri football loss, then he can come and play this
Oh,
game.
man.
Yeah,
We're
that's
gonna
right.
get hate mail now.
That's right, Greg. And I can talk too, because Nebraska's terrible this year too. So, but at least Missouri's bad too. Mm-mm.
Claremont McKenna's doing great, so never mind.
Do they play football? D3.
Yeah, we're D3.
Are you really?
Yeah. Oh, that's a joke now. Liberal arts school, man.
Oh, that's great. Well, hey, D3 football is still football. It's probably more pure
Sort of,
football
yeah.
than college football, actually. In this day and age, college football is.
We have an amazing track team, so there's that.
So you're like the Oregon of Division III?
Yeah.
If you've just tuned in, we're playing some Song of the Deep today on Insomniac Live. We've got a few minutes left in the show. If you have any questions or anything, please let us know. My name's James Stevenson. I'm the community director here. I'm with Brian Hastings, the chief creative officer and employee number 3 at Insomniac Games, as well as one of our newest employees at Insomniac Games, Donald Barrett, who's one of our production support technicians, and this is his first time ever playing Song of the Deep.
And I'm sucking.
Well, that's okay.
I'm really not sure what to do right here.
Let's
You
see.
can go
That's
for
what I
it.
remember.
Brian's
Yeah.
getting it back. How long did it take to make Song of the Deep? What was the amount of time we spent on this game? Is it like a year and a half?
Little over a year, I think.
Yeah,
Maybe a
that's-
year and a quarter by the time we were done.
Wow.
And when it started with a much smaller team, and then eventually ramped up towards like the
We
back
did,
half
yeah,
of it.
we did.
Like it was only like 10 people or 9 people for the first year, right? If that's right, or first 8-9 months.
I think, oh yeah, we gotta break this thing.
Ah, there it is.
This one's pretty tricky. I don't know if we ever made this one any easier, but this is tough.
Well, I saw
the
like
anchor
earlier
part.
when we were doing one of the mines where it like hit a wall and didn't go off right away, and I was like, oh, see, there's definitely the nerf to it, because
Oh.
that,
Yeah, you don't call it a nerf. Tuning.
yeah, tuning.
You want to make it fair. It's still hard.
Yeah, next snap. I mean, like a year and a quarter. Like the amount of art in this game. Like there's like, it's amazing how easy it is to not think about the amount of art in this game. But there's a
Right.
lot of
There's a
art in
lot.
this game. There's a ton. Like there,
There really is.
and there's so many different areas and just all the individual pieces and the amount of love and craftsmanship I think that went into all.
And
the
there's
different
so
pieces.
many secrets in it. I think that's one of the best parts. Is there's so many secret treasures you can find, and there's so many different ways that they're unlocked. Like,
Yeah.
you know, my nephews are playing and asking me if I'm gonna put any more secrets in there. And I'm like, well, technically I didn't program any of the secrets to begin with, but you know, the team did an amazing job coming up with them and just coding and designing them, scripting them. Killing me.
Yeah, you probably need to kill him first,
You
right?
need to kill him.
Yeah, like I was gonna
How do
say.
you-
He's in a tough spot to kill right now. But I mean, yeah, I think that for a lot of people,
Yeah.
that was kind of one of those fun. Just like sort of like collecting all the gems in Spyro is one of the best parts. It's like just finding all the secrets.
We're doing
Yeah.
all the shrines in Zelda.
Or doing all the shrines in Zelda. I've been there.
Brian is talking about how he has put in a mini 100 or over 100 hours. Has done everything in Zelda.
200. My the green thing on the map is full now.
So you've done everything. You've seen it all.
I've done
Have
all
you-
the quests. I've done all the shrines. Have you
done the
killed all
trial,
the Lionels,
the
I've killed
trial
all the bosses.
cavern?
Yeah, I've beaten the Master Trials. Yeah, I mean, I'm down to the Korok seeds, which I swore I would never do, and now I'm like actually doing that too. I just like being in that world, you know. It's just a relaxing. It's like my Zen game. I'm gonna go and be like, I can go kill a Lionel.
So Zelda is your Zen game, like Song of the Deep.
Yeah,
is Greg
it's
Miller's
just
Zen
such
game.
a beautiful, peaceful world to be in.
I can kind of see the like, you know, obviously this is much smaller scale, but I can kind of see the analogs in some ways where, you know, here's this world, go explore it.
Right.
Obviously that's like a much bigger, massive open world, triple A, quadruple A, if you want to use the term that people talk about now for some of these games, versus this kind of being a small title. But there's definitely a little bit of that same, I wouldn't say DNA, but kind of that same vibe of here's
Yeah,
a really
that-
beautiful place to go explore.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
do
That
this
sense
stuff
of
in.
discovery. Want to take over?
Sure.
You wanna watch
DJ
this
Change,
all-
have you seen the last Ratchet and Clank on PS4, or will you do another HD remake or something new? Is it too much work to port the old Ratchet and Clank to PSN for digital release on PSN? Oh, there's a bunch of questions there. Well, we haven't announced anything, so I don't know. Like, I don't know if we've seen the last or not. We haven't announced anything new. We have the one PS4 game out there, which I hope people check out. A lot of you have. Thanks for all the great sales and for telling all your friends. And it's been really, really heartwarming to see so many people playing Ratchet and Clank and seeing it do so well. It was the fastest selling Ratchet and Clank game we've ever released. Hopefully, you know, as people see people supporting Ratchet and Clank, that means we'll have the opportunity to.
I was just saying, you definitely want to save point.
Yeah.
You know, I think like the more you show people, oh look at this boss fight. The more you show your support for Ratchet, obviously sales mean a lot in this industry. So, in terms of the future of things, so I don't think you've probably seen the end of Ratchet and Clank, but who knows what form that may take. In terms of porting it. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but especially like the PS3 ones are kind of a hard thing to port because they are PS3 exclusive games and were never made. They're made for that PS3 architecture. But you never know. That's up to. It's really up to PlayStation. We'd support it if they did want to do it at some point, and
You gotta
I think
grab
that'd be
his
really
webs
fun.
up there.
I see.
You gotta grab and pull him.
Yeah, drag it. You like bringing down the house, basically.
Oh, that's cool. So, and actually, I've been kind of curious, and I don't know how well you know this answer, but how did you sort of pull off some of the 2D animations for some of the larger characters? Was it just kind of layered objects kind of moving around?
It is. It's a lot of yeah. I think his hind legs and his front legs are separate animation sets, but yeah, it's a lot of pieces overlaid together.
That's cool. I was gonna say, I mean, a lot of this game looks a lot like underwater portions of Up Your Arsenal, and even some of the pirate stuff in Quest for Booty, and I think even the last games that had Captain
Don't go up
Slag.
there. You gotta distract him first.
Oh, he needs to come out. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting so distracted talking.
Yeah, definitely that nautical ship theme.
Yeah.
Matters. Portal player, it's not necessarily that it's too tough. It's just that means that the economics of porting those games aren't quite as simple, which is why you may. There you go. Which is why it's not necessarily, like I said, it's just they take more. There's a lot more effort that's required to port something, and expense and time.
Oh my God.
And that all adds
You got
up.
it,
And so when you're looking at porting games and profitability and all the things that publishers look at before they do those sort of things, those are kind of the aspects that are at play there. Because like you said, it is possible. Some of the Uncharted games made the jump and things like that. God of War.
You definitely want that green thing.
Oh, yes. Oh.
And again, and it also depends on if you're doing something like a remake or an HD remake or just a straight port and all that jazz. Anyway, lots of things at play. If it was a simple thing, it'd be easy. But when you have more complex elements, that's why it sometimes takes longer. It's gonna be great that we're gonna get to end this on a boss fight, I think.
Yeah.
I just gotta win it.
Yeah.
You're doing pretty good though. I feel like you
Yeah.
picked up some health from killing some enemies. And
Oh.
oh, this could cost you this entire chance to get the thing because he's gonna get back while you're tied up. Go, 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 go. Go, go, go.
Boost.
Yes!
Great. There's only a couple left, it looks like.
And now it gets harder.
Yeah,
And you just keep shooting stuff.
Yeah, now he shoots the
So you gotta catch the that
Oh,
one and
I
throw it
see.
back at him.
Okay.
the glowing ones. Yeah, right.
The wet ones? Oh.
Yeah, the green ones will only hurt you. But there you go.
Yeah.
Now you can go do it while he's blinded.
Oh.
Oh.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's definitely a pretty tricky boss fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you didn't know, and now you're gonna have to try and get some health back from these.
Yeah. I think
If you're lucky enough to survive.
Jeez.
Oh.
Yeah, this game's tough.
All right.
I guess that's it, huh?
No. I'm gonna try.
Okay,
it.
alright,
I'm
there we
gonna,
go.
You haven't
I'm
even
gonna
played
get in
it.
and try. I haven't even played yet. I'm gonna give this one single shot.
Wait, you've never played this? Come on.
No, I have played this. It's not today. I haven't played.
Session.
Alright.
James has to beat the boss to get us out of here. Someone said the Ratchet reboot was the closest thing they've ever seen to a Pixar movie in game form.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was our dream from the very first Ratchet. That was kind of always the goal.
To
gold
make
standard
this,
that we
like,
wanted to. Yeah.
CG animated movie.
Sony makes fun of me sometimes because how many times I talk about it's gonna be like a Pixar movie, and like, but yeah, so it was pretty awesome to hear people say that it actually looked like one. So that was our dream. We kind of like culturally we're kind of always looking at Pixar as kind of as a touchstone for the kind of company we want to be.
I got greedy.
Creatively, and, so yeah, any comparison to Pixar makes us feel good.
Yeah, we definitely like. I think that really became even more of a driving thing, like around like tools of destruction, where like we were really benchmarking against like CG animated, trying to get that visual look, because like that was where it's like, oh, we started to see it, like, oh, you could make this, like this kind of starting to look better than some of those early. If you go back and look at like the first Toy Story movie, I know they've done like a re-render of it recently, which makes it look a lot better on some of the releases. But like you look back at some of their first releases, it's like, oh, like real-time graphics have actually exceeded those films.
Yeah. If you look at the opening of the Metropolis and Tools of Destruction, I mean, it did look really.
That was
great.
Yeah.
Ah,
I think we're getting closer at that point, but yeah. I think PS4 is where we finally hit that bar.
yeah. Yes, all right. Oh, I did get 2 on the first. I got 2 the first time, yeah.
Nice.
Silver and apple juice.
Cool.
Eat that.
Pressure's on. Reputation is at stake.
I know people are watching, and if I don't pull this off, oh, and
wow,
now,
he should, okay.
yeah, now he starts shooting them less frequently, and I have those guys to deal with. Yeah. I've been playing Cuphead, so bring this on.
Yeah.
Whatever. All right. Oh, it's the close ones. This is the terrifying moment.
Nice.
1 to go. Let's do this. Let's do. Oh, there it is. Oh, snap.
Have fun. Yeah.
Oh.
Very good.
Oh man.
There you go.
So
Guess this
close.
should be, yep.
Bye-bye.
Down to the last sliver. Nice.
Grab the thing and fling it at the thing. That's correct, Corey. And I did it. I was successful at grabbing the thing and flinging it at the thing. Anastasia said I never played. They were talking about Jack and Daxter in the chat. I want to try it. Yeah, you should definitely play Jack and Daxter. We're probably actually going to play it on the stream here, maybe sometime soon. So
that was
people love that. And next time says we beat the game. No, we're like an hour into the game. There's like 5, 6, 7 more hours of this. That's just the first boss fight, which is pretty cool. So I think that's gonna wrap it mostly up for us, guys. Do you have anything last words you want to say to everyone out there watching? And
thanks for watching. This is a really fun game to work on, and if you haven't played it, I hope you do.
Yeah, you can definitely check it out if you haven't. It's on PS4, Xbox One, and Steam. It's only $14.99 at full price, and a lot of times you can find it for less than that, I think. There's physical copies in your GameStop stores, so if you want to get an actual disc copy of a video game, you can do that. Donald, any last words?
Yeah, for those of you trying to break into the industry, it's possible. I just want to encourage you guys, just keep working at it, just keep improving yourselves, and I mean, Insomniac only takes the best of the best, and I'm trying to become that more and more. So, yeah, it's totally doable, and yeah, just wait until we release more stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, look out for that stuff.
Yep, keep an eye out for Spider-Man, and we'll be back on Insomniac Live on Wednesday. We have The Evil Within 2, which was released by Bethesda last Friday, and they just sent us some copies, so we're going to be checking that out. And then Friday, I'm really excited. We'll have Ted Price here for his first time on the stream show on Insomniac Live. We're going to play his favorite game of all time, which is another Metroid game, Metroidvania-style game, Super Metroid. So make sure you tune in for that. And I think that's everything for now. If you haven't, give us a follow here on Twitch. We're streaming a lot. Lots of good shows for you. You can also always find us on Twitter at Insomniac Games, Facebook /Insomniac Games, Instagram /Insomniac Games, all the usual places. Our website, insomniac.games. Thanks for watching. Brian, Donald, thanks for being here today.
Thanks, James.
We'll see you guys on Wednesday.